Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Today is June 29th, 2026, and we are here this Monday afternoon in our Commissioners Conference Center in our Larimer County Administrative Services Office in Fort Collins, Colorado. We are here for a work session with our Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources, and we have these work sessions on Mondays. We have a full agenda. And I am Larimer County Commissioner Jody Shai McNally, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. And again, welcome. Thank you so much. I'm joined by Commissioner Kofalos, and our colleague Commissioner Stevens is absent and excused today. We also have our County Manager, Lorenda Volker, at the table. And we have lots of wonderful guests, but I will let Leslie Ellis, our Director of CPERS, to introduce them and to move forward. And so, Leslie, thank you for being here today and look forward to this agenda, and I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, Commissioners. Nice to see you again. And as with our work session this morning, I'm going to quickly hand it off here. We do have a full agenda, and we want to make sure we have ample time to talk about first the animal services contract with NOCO Humane, and Amy will introduce the team that you see at the table here, and then we'll move on to housing topic, and then Rebecca and my updates for department and the service area. So I'll pass it along to Amy White to do the rest of the introductions for the first item. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Amy White, Code Compliance Supervisor. I'm here with our colleagues from NOCO Humane. We have a new face at the table. This is Cynthia Settle. She has stepped into the role of CEO, correct? And to her right is Brett Harris, who is the Director of Animal Protection, and then Nelson Murphy, who is the CFO. And with that, since we've done this a couple times, I will turn it over to Cynthia and have her maybe give a little bit of your background.
Sure.
And the presentation.
Great. Well, it's nice to meet you all. I am Cynthia. I moved here in early March from Seattle. So very new to the area, and we absolutely love it. It's everything about this part of the country is just incredible, and the organization is really wonderful as well. So my background is in executive management in government agencies. I was the CFO of the Seattle-King County Public Health Department and a criminal justice advisor to our mayor, but then also worked in executive director of our housing authority, and worked at the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy. So a variety of experience, professionally not in animal welfare, but personally I fostered hundreds of cats and dogs. And so this is very, very much my passion. So putting together my leadership experience, animals, and sunshine and mountains, I'm very, very, very happy to be here. So I believe most of what I have to say you have heard and you're familiar with this. So I'm just going to sort of quickly go through what we do here in our contract with you all, as well as in general. Nelson will talk in more detail about the changes to the contract valuation, and then we're all ready to answer any other questions that you have. So as you know, our contract with you all, is it going? Nope. I know, technical challenges. There you go. Thank you. I'm glad you're doing this and not me. Thank you.
Operator error.
So our contract with you all provides with animal services, we do animal care, we do lost and found, and we do behavior and enrichment. So we assess animals when they come in and to understand their personalities, and then we make sure that we have staff and volunteers who walk the animals, walk the dogs, cuddle the cats, and provide enrichment for them every day. We also have veterinary services. All of our animals are have a sort of a quick checkup when they first come in to see if there's anything major, any major health concerns. And then when they are ready to be adopted, before they're adopted, they are all spayed and neutered. And there's a variety of other sort of procedures that our veterinarians do, some minor and some pretty major. So a very impressive group. We also do, as you know, animal protection and control. That's Brett's world. We do field response. We do dispatch, rabies control. It's that time of year when that's picking up a bit. We assist to emergency services, and we do cruelty investigations. We also, in Larimer County, do licensing. Other services that we provide, both in Larimer as well as in our 2 sites in Weld County, that we don't contract for with you all, but we provide them, are adoptions, humane education. We have critter camps that go on over the summer and during school vacations, where kids come in and have time with the animals and learn about animal behavior and animal care. It's a really fun thing. If you ever have a chance to come see that, it's really wonderful. We have a large foster care program with our own fosters who volunteer with us, as well as with other agencies, other nonprofits. We have a transfer program between our sites and also sometimes to other jurisdictions. Animals will come from other places. Occasionally, if we have a real special case, we may transfer to other organizations. We have a community dog park on our Larimer campus. We have teaching partnerships with the university. There often I'll see staff or vets that I don't recognize, and it's because they're learning from the university. We have a large community room in the Larimer campus in Loveland, where we can host events and meetings for the wider community. And we do some community support. We have an emergency food partner with Colorado Pet Pantry at our Evans facility in Weld. And we do spay and neuter and vaccination partnerships. We do that twice a year with Animal Friends Alliance. We also, when there's an emergency, if there's a fire or a big storm, we are a partner to go out and help to rescue animals and get them to safety. Okay, we're going to talk about how we value the contract, how we came up with the numbers that we're sharing with you today. Any questions before we do that?
Commissioner Kowalski, any questions, sir?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Cynthia. We've had this presentation before. It's good to have an update and understand more about the contract and the increases. I always ask the question, which I don't think was referenced and doesn't come up later, regarding do we still administer the discount licensing program for older adults? And
Yes, Commissioner, we still do, and it was handled by Kristen Bothell, and that will be now handled by another one of the admin staff up in community development.
And we have numbers on that, how many people might have benefited from that?
I do.
Oh,
You go right ahead, Nelson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Nelson Murphy. I'm the CFO at NOCO Humane. Nice to see you again.
yes.
I'm sorry, Amy, I didn't mean to jump in. So, no, senior income qualified at 24, there were 113. Okay, last year there were 138, and through 5 months of this year, there's 44.
Great, thank you kindly.
If there's no other questions now, I'm going to pass it to Nelson to talk about how we do the contract valuation and what the increase is this year and why that increase.
Can I pause you right there?
Sure.
I just would like, just for the public's benefit, I know the answer to this question, but I want to do it for the public's benefit. We have, I know you take care of sometimes smaller animals that might have had unfortunate interactions with what I call metallic carnivores. And so I'm wondering, but sometimes folks maybe don't know the distinction between maybe an elk or a moose. Unfortunately, I've seen a moose get hit. Who is responsible for that? And we get calls and questions. Would you mind, maybe for the public's benefit, just to distinguish that and what you do, so we folks maybe understand who and what you do with that, and also who they might call if there's a larger unfortunate incident with a metallic carnivore.
Great question. Brett, do you want?
Perfect. Brett Harris, Director of Animal Protection and Control. Thanks for having us today. So, per our contract, generally speaking, for wildlife concerns, anything that's 100 pounds or less or coyote size or smaller are animals that we will respond to, and then manage those as appropriate, whether it be a severe, gravely disabled animal that a humane euthanasia would be the choice, or an animal that's minor injuries that we're able to relocate to a rehabber for future release. We do have restrictions regarding relocation of animals. Maybe we have a rattlesnake that's in somebody's house. We can take that outside. Anything that's outside requires CPW to be involved for any relocations. As we move into such things as accidents involving animals, elk, deer, that kind of thing, in those cases, we would be partnering, staying on scene to manage any kind of traffic control and scene safety, while CPW would be responding to take appropriate recourse with the animal.
Thank you. And unfortunate, that we have those things, but I know wildlife crossings are making a dent, but we certainly don't have enough of them. Thanks for that. Response, Commissioner Cafalas, I saw your hand was raised.
Yes, thank you. Just related to that response and the question, thank you, Brett. What role does the NOCO Humane play when we're dealing with an animal that has been determined to be positive for rabies, for example, whether it's a mammal, well, whatever it might be, whether it's a prairie dog or rabbits or bats?
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner. We respond to multiple calls. Right now, bats are the big thing, and happen to be three. I think we have had 3 positive rabies identified bats since the start of this year. We work with the Department of Health, and there's communication on a daily basis. If it's an animal in question, we have a couple over at the university that might be in dorms or that type of thing. We'll hold the animal. If there's no risk of exposure or unknown risk, we can hold on to those animals for a short term and then make a determination through the Department of Health whether or not the risk is there that the animal needs to be euthanized and tested. If we determine there was no risk of contact, then those animals were released outside in the area that we relocated them. If it's a case where there's an actual bite or a contact with a domestic animal, those animals would be impounded, euthanized, and then sent out for testing, and then we would be part of those communications as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to cover the valuation methodology first, and then I'll cover with you the output of it. First of all, the methodology is very similar to what we've had this methodology for a while. Judy designed this a number of years ago. It's a full cost recovery model. That's the intention. However, what we do is we use 25 calendar year audited data that goes into your 27-year calendar. So there's a pretty significant lag on that, which is by intent. Gives us more time to review. I think that works better with your budget process as well. We use cost drivers. Generally, we allocate cost, majority of them amongst Larimer County entities. And those are done depending on the nature of the service. Brett's would be done on a percentage of calls. Certain things would be done on population, like community outreach would be done on population. And then we also do animal intakes, which is the largest coming in. So it's an allocation amongst the entities in Larimer County. Your allocation actually went down as a percent a little bit this year, but not a great deal. It's been pretty steady. We also take out anything, we only apportion costs that are directly related to the contract. So if we're doing fundraising or we're doing something that's more of a charitable thing, we do not drive any of those costs here. Now, it is allocated, so we do some fringe things for some of Brett's time, some of the senior time, but it's really tries to focus on those services that are directly related to the contract of Larimer County. I think those are the main things on that. I think We also, if there happens to be anything terrifically anomalous, we'll try to take it out, and we usually cover those in the working teams with Amy and stuff in advance. So there's nothing terrifically different this year. In terms of the output of all of this, as the chart mentioned, we're 10% up year over year, but if you may recall that we did an incentive for you all last year to try to get a coordinated price change amongst Larimer counties. And so we gave you a credit, even though you wouldn't normally see the credit until we get into calendar 26 numbers. We also extended that credit into 25. So, but the one-time credit was last year. That was a big change. Was roughly $23,000. And now this year's contract will recognize at the new rates. Once you get into calendar year 26, you're in the new rates. We anticipated some of that here. When you adjust for that, it's a 6% increase. The causes of that are, the main cause of that actually is not a cost increase, although we had some, but the way the allocations fell, it wasn't too onerous here, but the credits are down. And we credit for licensing. And licensing revenue is down all over the patch. That's for all communities. We can kind of guess what we think it is. We don't have any hard data, but I think there's generally the cost increase in veterinary services, making people a little bit more reticent to go to the vets. The vets start our process often with a rabies certificate that we collect for you guys. And when they send that in, that causes us to do an outgoing mailer to collect licensing fees. So we've been trying to deal with that with putting stuff more in the public domain, signs around parks, anything we can do on community awareness, on our website, and we're happy to work with you. We've done that with Fort Collins. We put up some signage in some parks. I know unincorporated Larimer is a little bit trickier in this than some of that, but I think that's one thing we should probably think about. And then we had about a 2.5% overall cost increase independent of those. So when you take those two factors in, that's where you get the 6% raise year over year.
Thank you for
You bet.
explaining that in more detail and reminding us of that incentive credit. We appreciate that.
you bet.
I remember that from our previous presentations. So that's, I think that was pretty much the presentation. So I don't think I have any other questions. Commissioner Cavalli, you have further questions?
I don't necessarily have other questions, just to express my appreciation for your good work. I wasn't aware that the NOCO Humane has a critter camp. I have to tell my granddaughter about that. She's actually a big fan of the Cat Cafe in Loveland. So thank you for sharing that information, and I appreciate very much the collaboration and the partnership. Yes.
Thank you all for the
Thank you.
presentation. It's lovely to meet you, Cynthia.
Lovely to meet you as well.
Thank you, Nestle and Brett. We appreciate your time, and thanks for being here in person today. We're grateful. Thank you for your work.
Okay,
And thank you, Amy.
so we'll move on to our topic of accessory dwelling units and the fee waiver program called Backyard Boost. And this is a collaboration between Aaliyah Rodriguez in Housing and Community Development. So I'll turn it over to Rebecca. Are you kicking this one off?
All right. While we get settled, I'll go ahead and kick this item off. So you may recall that we received a grant from the Colorado Department of Local Affairs last year through their accessory dwelling unit grant program. And that is a program that is specifically designed to incentivize the construction of accessory dwelling units throughout the state of Colorado, following the legislation that legalized accessory dwelling units as an administrative approval or use by right statewide on residential properties. Larimer County has been a leader in this area. We were the first community to receive the designation of an ADU supportive jurisdiction. As a community who was not, we were a jurisdiction that was not required to meet the new state statutory requirements for ADUs, but we opted in to the program instead, which is what made us eligible for those grant funds. And so we received a grant specifically to create a program for fee waivers for these accessory units in exchange for an affordability restriction on those units. So we are very excited to be at the point where we're ready to launch this program. And Aaliyah Rodriguez, our Housing Stability Program Manager, and Samantha Lasher, one of our planners in community development, as well as several members of Aaliyah's team and others in community development, have been partnering together to develop a program that we think will be very successful in Larimer County and helping us to achieve our goals. So I will pass it over to Aaliyah next to share more about Backyard Boost.
Thank you, Rebecca. There we go. Rebecca stole most of my talking points. That's okay. But now you have it on paper as well in front of you. We printed these slides. I know there's a lot of words on these slides. It's really just for your information. But this was just the background of how we got here, how we were able to create this program, how it was funded, as Rebecca said, through that ADUG program, as Larimer County were leaders in this space of accessory dwelling unit supportive jurisdictions, and following up with Governor Polis's strategic growth executive orders. I think only a couple talking points, just in addition to what Rebecca had already covered. I wanted to point out that you all supported this program in December of 2025, along with the county commissioners supporting our application for this program. We also received support letters from Habitat for Humanity and from Fort Collins Area Chamber as well, both community organizations finding that this program would benefit the community. Accessory living areas and ADUs are already common in our unincorporated areas, and so we recognized this as a powerful tool to add deed-restricted affordable housing to our community, along with helping us reach our Proposition 123 goals. So that's how this program was kind of inspired. The grant was awarded in December of 2025, which prompted us starting to build out the policies and procedures for Backyard Boost. When we built the policies and procedures off of analyzing and learning from similar programs from across the state. So we learned from Grand Junction, we learned from Summit County, and other places who are already doing these types of programs. And so that's what we've structured our program off of. So I don't think I have anything else on as far as the background. We're just really excited to launch this. And so I think I'll pass it over to Samantha at this point to talk about just kind of the details.
Thanks, Aaliyah, and good afternoon, Commissioners. It's good to be here. Good to see you all. As Aaliyah said, I'm just going to jump in quickly to talk a little bit about the program details and the funding source as well. So as you all know, this program is called Backyard Boost, and ultimately with this program, we will be able to waive certain building permit fees for owners who agree to rent their newly constructed or newly converted accessory living area at an affordable rate. So what that affordable rate is determined annually by CHFA, or the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority. Aaliyah can probably provide more details about that if you have questions. The team has determined the types of permit fees that are eligible to be waived include building fees, mechanical, plumbing, and electrical fees, plot plan and plan review fees, transportation capital expansion fees, and use taxes. Some examples of fees that are not eligible to be waived would include wildfire site assessment fees or septic permit fees, for example. And as Aaliyah mentioned, in order to ensure that the owners are going to be renting their ALA at an affordable rate, they will be required to sign and record a 36-month or 3-year affordability agreement, as we're calling it. It essentially acts as a deed restriction. Yes. Oh, go ahead.
Getting into these details, so I was just going to... No, keep going.
Okay. Do you mind going back to the other slide?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Yeah, right. So the pilot timeline for this program, as Aaliyah had mentioned, is for 2 years. And so by 2027, we do need to account for all of the funding. It does not necessarily mean that the ALAs that are participating in this program have to be constructed by that point, but we at least need to have those funds earmarked. And so we did pull ALA permit data from May 2024 to the end of 2025 to gain an understanding of what are the total permitting costs that owners are paying for accessory living areas, and that number was about $9,500 in fees. So the goal is to fund between 8 and 10 affordable accessory living areas with this program. And then also, as Aaliyah mentioned, this program does launch July 1st, which is on Wednesday. It is a first come, first serve program, so anyone who's interested can submit an application on Wednesday, and then staff will work with them through the process. The total funding for the project is $140,000. So DOLA provided $105,000, and the county matched $35,000. Both Community Development and the Housing Stability Office helped with that county match. There is a small percentage allocated for program costs, such as printing or translation services, but the majority of the funds will be used for those fee waivers. Back to you, Leah. Thank you.
Mic's not on. Thank you. It's definitely a Monday for me today, but thank you for your patience. This next slide is just going over, our plans. So we were able to, in partnership with community development, create the accessory living area toolkit, which you have in front of you there. We're really excited about this. We just printed hot off the press. Just printed them last week. And then we are finalizing some last steps to get the online version fully accessible. So we're going through the testing for accessibility for online. And then the next step after that is to send it along to translation. So we have a Spanish version available, along with all of the required applications and community development forms that are part of building an ALA. We're going to get those translated over to Spanish as well. So that's our next step. But this toolkit was created to really just pull everything that you need when you're going to build an ALA into one spot. And so it's comprehensive for someone who can just pick it up on the street and decipher the rules and our land use code and our building code to put them in a good space to be able to access this program. Along with the ALA toolkit, we also plan to do some workshops and a resource fair as well. And so we'll be hosting that. Samantha will be attending that as well, along with Lexi Valenti, our landlord liaison, to talk about Backyard Boost and answer general questions of how to build an ALA and how to access the Backyard Boost program. We have 2 scheduled so far on August 20th and October 20th. The first one will be in the hearing room here in Larimer County, and we're still working on a location for October 20th. This program also, the Backyard Boost program, is being launched with our Housing Partners of Larimer program. As a reminder, that's our landlord engagement program. So we're providing that as a support to anyone who is building an ALA and maybe becoming a landlord for the first time. They can access the supports and resources from Housing Partners of Larimer to help them be a good landlord in the community if they have any questions. So that's all that we have as far as an update. We're excited to launch this on July 1st and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Samantha and Aaliyah and Rebecca, everyone, for this update. And I have a few questions, but we'll start with Commissioner Kafalis first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, colleagues. A couple of questions that I have include regarding the deed restricted for 3 years rent that would be charged that CHAFA would determine. Can you speak to that? Is it based on AMI? Is it based on, could you talk about that, please?
Yes, certainly. So the rent is going to be affordable to someone below 60% AMI. So we use the, Housing and Urban Development, HUD publishes AMIs annually, and then CHAFA publishes affordable rental amounts per that AMI. And so we use that annually to cap what can be charged for the rental. And we'll be sharing that with the homeowners so that they know.
Thank you. So the threshold is 60% AMI.
Correct.
Thank you. Next question, and that is regarding the goal of hopefully contributing to 8 to 10 ALAs over the next year or so. Does that factor into our Prop 123 goal of 113 units by the by the end of 2026?
This year, yes. So we're on track to hit our goal for this year, and I'm hoping that these new ALAs will go towards our next cycle of Proposition 123, which we don't have that identified goal yet because recent registration changed how we calculate that.
Thank you. My last question, please, and that is the lovely little toolkit. Are there more of these to distribute? Because if it's appropriate, I'll be in Wellington on Thursday, July 2nd. I hope to be in LaPorte on Saturday, July 11th, and I will be in Red Feather Lakes Thursday, July 23rd. So I'd like to have a few of these, if you can spare them, to give out to folks.
Absolutely. We brought a pile, and I can always get you more.
Oh, thanks. You brought a pile. Can't wait.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay, thanks again. Well done. My first question, I'll build on Commissioner Foss. Is this part of the budget to print these, and how many did we print?
Yes, we printed 100 of them, and they are part of that small administrative piece of the budget that we talked about earlier.
So I would like a few as well, but I have some folks I know are actually looking into this, so it'd be nice to get this.
Absolutely.
So back to the deed restriction or the ability to have that level. Did you say CHAF is monitoring that, or do we monitor that?
No, we're monitoring that. We're using CHAFA's published rent caps as a standard.
And is that part of, will that be through your office, through community development?
It will be through our office, through our housing partners of Larimer. So Lexi Valenti will be checking in with the homeowners every year to ensure compliance.
And after the 3 years, there's no limitation, they can do whatever?
Correct.
And what are we doing with through community development after 3 years to see if they're doing as a short-term rental or something else? I'm curious about that.
So, as I believe you all know, but for anyone who may be listening, accessory living areas cannot be used as short-term rentals. They can be used as long-term or 30-day or more rentals. And so after that 3-year deed restriction, we would treat the units like any other ALA in the community. If they are advertising as a short-term rental, or there's a complaint received about them operating a short-term rental out of that ALA, then our code compliance process would begin.
And I knew the answer to that question, but I wanted to just ask it out loud, just so people understand, way ahead of time. And so, first come, first serve. Have you already had folks kind of asking about this? Because it's really, it sounds like a lot, but it really, if you think overall for Larimer County, we could see that really disappear quickly.
Yes, we actually have had probably half a dozen community members reach out inquiring about this program. So we do anticipate it being very successful.
And I'm curious, those who have reached out, have they been in a certain jurisdiction or a certain area of the county, or have you had that countywide?
From what I can recall, it's been countywide.
Excellent. And then my next question is next steps. If I anticipate this would be very successful and we have some data, so next steps for this program after the deed restrictions are, done and they can go to whatever, are we waiting to see how it rolls and then see what kind of next steps after that, or?
Yeah, this is being launched as a pilot program, so it's a learning. We'll see how popular it is, how successful it is, and then definitely return with lessons learned.
Awesome. So when you talked about capital expansion fees and things, so all the grant is covering all of the fees. So there'll be no loss to our road and bridge or anyone. I just wanted to clarify that and make sure that's
Correct.
yeah, okay. Because that's important too, because we just had some discussions and a hearing lately, and that's important to make sure we keep everybody whole.
Yeah,
Okay.
the one exception to that, if I can chime in,
Yeah.
would be the matching amount that the county has put in toward these fee waivers. So a portion of the fee waivers is being absorbed by the general fund.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that, but I just want to make sure about the capital expenditure piece, so thank you for that. Well, this is, and the backyard booth, is this how they called it from DOLA, or is that something we came up with?
That's the name we came up for.
Cool, very catchy.
It's a little, it rolls off the tongue a little better than accessory living area fee waiver program.
Yeah, just a little. So anyway, I appreciate the presentation, and I'll be very much interested to see how this goes. And I would request, I'm assuming that this will happen much sooner than later. When you guys reach that 8 to 10, it would certainly like to maybe get a little quick update, like, we hit it. And so, and then I'm glad to hear that it's from all around the county. That's wonderful. Commissioner Kafalis.
Yeah, thank you. The conversation has prompted some follow-up questions on my part, and that is, this is a pilot, I understand that, and what criteria will we use to evaluate how successful the pilot has been? And also, as part of our, beyond the 3 years, when the grant is no longer, are we looking at how we might continue this, or how we might incentivize the homeowners to continue the affordability aspect of it? So I'm wondering if you have some thoughts on that, Aaliyah, perhaps Samantha or Rebecca.
Yeah. I think an obvious success indicator is adding affordable units to our community, which is a goal of coming out of not just Proposition 123, but also our housing needs assessment and our future housing action plan. And as far as keeping them affordable past the 3-year deed restriction, that's why it's really important that we integrated the Housing Partners of Larimer program to this. So our housing liaison is making a relationship with these homeowners and is able to provide them the supports they need if they'd like to continue to offer it at that affordable rate and seeing the benefit of that. And so we will be tracking that and seeing it's really unknown what would happen after those 3 years, and so we'll see.
Thank you. And I would offer another consideration for review, and maybe you've already thought of this. You folks usually think of a lot of things, and that is, yes, of course, if we achieve the 8 to 10 units, but also have we made a difference in helping people understand government regulations? I think sometimes this can be confusing to folks, and that's why the guide is wonderful, the toolkit, but maybe there's a way to determine, did this make it easier for folks based on understanding the process and, how to navigate the county and all that? That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Commissioner. That does remind me as well, we are working surveys into the workshop and resource fairs to make sure we're gaining that before and after understanding of the processes. So we can report back on that as well.
If I could chime in with one more thought about longevity of this program and what happens after the pilot. Obviously, this is being funded with one-time grant funding right now. Once that grant funding runs out, there's not another funding source at this point to continue the program. I think we hope to learn through this pilot what types of incentives are most helpful to people. Is it that financial discount? Is it the education? And based on what we learn from that, we may look to evolve the program into something a little bit different. It may be that we continue to seek funding to keep the same program going into the future, or we may look for other partners who can help create a financial incentive, for example, through lending on construction or through other mechanisms, or we may find there's enough interest and demand for ALAs that once the process and knowledge barriers are overcome, that they are built naturally and maintained at an affordable level naturally. So I think there's a lot to learn from this initial pilot, which may or may not require some financial resources to continue into the future, but we'll learn more about that. One other comment I wanted to make, because I want to just support another value that this program is creating. We've gotten a lot of questions about family members. What if I'm building this ALA for a parent or a sibling or my child to live in? And this program really does intend to support aging in place and multi-generational living. And so to the extent that somebody wants to rent their unit to a family member, for no cost or very low cost, we would still need a lease documenting that arrangement. We would still need an affordability agreement, but somebody renting the unit out and providing housing for someone at no cost still achieves the goal of this program.
And that was my other question, so thanks for reading my mind. Well, certainly, I agree with what you said, is that, we hope this, we may not have the money in the budget for incentives, so this would be great if this was organically, and we just don't know where it will be. So I always say when we have incentives, it has to come from somewhere, so we have to always think about that as well. Well, I appreciate you all being here today, and I wanted to just comment on the partnership and the cross-jurisdictional department and partnerships with this, and with our wonderful partners at DOLA. We were grateful for their work and incentives and their partnership. We've been very fortunate to have had a lot of wonderful grants through DOLA, and has allowed us to really do a lot of amazing things that we have had our eyes on and work. And I want to express my appreciation to you all, because you also look for those opportunities through DOLA. And I just wanted to commend you on this, because I do think this will be interesting to see. And I really hope that there are a lot of people talking about aging in place. They want to stay where they're at, and they're hoping their kids will move in the bigger house and they'll move in the smaller house. So hopefully that all works out. But, well, with that, I think we'll move on, and appreciate you all being here today. And if you wouldn't mind, if you have a pile, I'd like to maybe have 5 total right now, and I'll see how I go through them. So thank you. And then we'll move on to our Community Development Director update. Rebecca, do you have some updates for us?
Yes, I'll be brief today. First, I just want to put in one last plug for the collaboration between the Office of Housing Stability and Community Development on this project. Our work overlaps in significant ways as it relates to housing, and it really is a strong partnership, from the housing needs assessment to developing programs like this, or working together on some of our long-range planning initiatives. We may be in different service areas, different parts of the county, but we really are functioning as one team, and it's really exciting. Then I wanted to just provide one final comment too on the NOCO Humane conversation from earlier, just as a heads up to you all. One aspect of the NOCO Humane contract is shared arrangement for dispatch services after hours, overnight, on weekends, between the Sheriff's Office and NOCO Humane. There are ongoing conversations about how to best accomplish that arrangement in the future, and that may lead to some future conversations as well.
I'll just, Leah's my 5 in this pile here. Yep, thank you. Yeah, thanks for, that was the other, I guess that was part of my other question. I forgot to expand that, but also about the expanded hours, because I do know that's another question that we have, that we get at least once or twice a year. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yes. Other than that, I do not have any timely updates for you today. We do not have another land use hearing until July 13th. And so we will be bringing some items to you then, but for now.
Do we have still our joint planning commission and that on the 8th?
Yes, thank you for that reminder. Yes, we do have a joint Board of County Commissioners and Planning Commission work session on July 8th. Both groups will be meeting together. The main topic will be the Transfer of Development Rights Program as we near the finish line on that and work to get that finalized by September. That will be the primary topic, but we will also be talking about some upcoming land use code amendments and a miscellaneous land use code amendments, as well as the new strategic growth element and water supply elements that are required to be added into the comprehensive plan before the end of the year. So we'll provide updates on on that project as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I just want to clarify, at 5:30, that's usually the meal portion, then we really start at 6?
6 o'clock is the start time, correct?
I might have to start the beginning of the meeting virtually, but I will be there to chair. So
That's
I just wanted to, I have a quick conversation with Congressman Neguse right before that, so I just need to honor that too. So
No
thank
problem.
you.
Thanks for letting us know. That's it for my updates.
Okay, I'll move on to the service area updates. And first, I'll add on to thanking Rebecca and Community Development and her team for, as you've seen today, a lot of excellent work and the partnership with Housing Stability as well. I would echo that sentiment that it's been a really strong partnership and a lot of good work happening there. I just have a couple of updates for you. One, I wanted to let you know that Nicole Hahn in engineering, our county engineer, has hired a new assistant county engineer. Rusty retired a few weeks back, and you all know Eric Tracy, who's been with the team for some time, and so he'll start as the assistant on July 9th. So we're very happy to share that news after a competitive process looking at all the qualified candidates that applied for that position. And then I wanted to let you know, too, we've changed some work session dates and topics coming up. We were scheduled to have a ranch master plan update on July 11th. That's been moved back to July 27th. And we had a transportation, a traffic, or excuse me, the safety study and the TCEF, the fees discussion that was scheduled to happen on July 27th, and that will now happen on August 8th. August 3rd. I also have kind of the Monday syndrome, I think. So we may cancel the work session on the 13th. We'll see. We have a discussion this afternoon with all the directors. We'll see if there is another timely topic to plug into that time, or we may give everybody back some valuable time on that Monday. And those were kind of the main things for now. So we can probably end a little bit early unless you have other questions.
I might have one, but I'll make it quick. But go ahead, Commissioner Kafals, do you have any comments or questions?
Just to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Echo, thank you. Appreciate, again, like I said, this is, very, very great to see. I'm curious about, if we want to go back and just hear from the Planning Commission on some of the tapes or some of the conversations they had, are they recorded and on the website, or do you take minutes and leave that, or how can we do that if we just wanted to hear some of the conversations they had?
Yes, Commissioner, are you interested in the Planning Commission hearings or their work sessions?
Some of their work sessions, I think, yeah.
Yeah, the work sessions, we do have the Zoom recordings, which we'd be happy to provide individually to any commissioners who want that. We don't publish those online. Those aren't broadcast in the same way as the hearings, but we do have recordings. We do not take minutes on those work sessions either, so the Zoom link would probably be the best way to get that information, or we can provide our notes that we took as staff during those conversations as well. So if there's a particular meeting or topic you would like to hear more about, we'd be happy to coordinate.
Let me go back and look at the topics. I know there was a couple I wanted to just hear overall before we have that meeting on the 8th, just to kind of see where they were all at. So I appreciate that. And then next, can you just update me real quick on where we are with that special events? I know that's another gnarly elephant we're taking bites out of, but we did have some community feedback, and I know we're right in the heat of all the sessions and or special event season in a lot of ways. But I'm wondering, how is that looking? And I know, again, it's a pretty big animal. I just wanted to kind of get a pulse on where we're headed or what's going on.
Yes, thank you. It is a big project. We are nearing the finish line on it. We're working on a near final draft of the code to release to the public in the next 2 weeks. Then it will be out for public review. We will have a joint work session, Board of County Commissioners and Planning Commission in August to talk about those draft code changes. Once the code is ready to release to the public, we can send an email to you all too, so you can see it at the same time that it's going out to the public. And there will be a feedback form, a public survey on our Larimer Engage public input page for final feedback as well. We're still on track to have the code changes, whatever gets adopted, go live January 1st of next year, so that there's some time for event organizers and community members to kind of adapt to the new regulations before they take effect.
Thank you for reading my mind again. I don't know how you do that, but you do, so I appreciate that very much. I just was, and also trying to just prepare myself for, there's a lot we have on, and you all have a lot cooking on the stove right now, and so I just wanted to see where we're at there. So thank you very much. I appreciate all that you are all juggling right now. So I don't have any others. Anything you want to add, Lorinda? So. All right, we'll give you 10 more minutes back in your life, which right now is probably all well needed. So 2:21, we are adjourned. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody.